See that little pin, and you'll go, what the hell's the question? I'll be like, there it is.
Oh, that's the test, and I can't remember.
That's
It's not the tuning fork.
No, it's just a little dissecting pen where you have to hold it out and do it.
Yeah.
What's it called? You know that one's going to be on your test.
The eye test.
No, visual acuity, that's a Snell and eye chart. Yeah.
I don't remember.
No.
Flashcard, that's the chart.
Yeah, the pen was just a little dissecting pen. You got, no.
Right.
Tell us.
Near point of accommodation.
What?
Near point of accommodation. Yeah, see?
Not with 14.
It's always on there.
Weavers is the one that vibrates the touch.
Yep. Okay. So, you start. You got the pinna or the auricle. That's that outer ear. Then you got the external auditory canal. You got the tympanum. That's the eardrum. It's sticking back in there, right? Okay. Remember the ear ossicles you do have to know, but we're not going to ask them to you on the little model. We'll ask them to you on the big model. So you have the incus, the stapes, and the malleus. The malleus is that one, looks like a mallet or a hammer. Incus is the one that looks like a tooth. And stapes looks like a stirrup. Alright, then pick this up. You have to know the cochlea, and you have to know that it's used for hearing. The semicircular canals are for equilibrium. Remember, you lose your equilibrium on a roller coaster, and they look like little roller coaster loops? Okay. Then you have to know the vestibulocochlear nerve. That's this big yellow guy coming out the back. And that is your eustachian tube, and that's it for the ear. Eyeball. You've got the sclera, is this outer coat. Open up. You've got the cornea, is this clear coat up front. You've got the pupil, is the hole. Iris is the colored part of the eye. This brown is the choroid coat. Open it up. The peach is the retina. And then the little red parts here are the ciliary bodies. Here's the lens. Cammy, you're in a bad. Apparently I like to throw stuff to the right. Here's the lens.
I'll deal with it.
And you've got the optic disc. That's your blind spot. And then there's the optic nerve coming out the back.
Did you get all that, Bruce? Colors. I'm working on it. One more time, please.
Peach is retina. Red is ciliary bodies. Brown is choroid. White is sclera. And then the actual colored part of the eye is the iris. And that's it for your eye. I know there's at least 2 stations with an eye on it. Eye models. And make sure you know your charts, your Snell and eye chart, your astigmatism chart, that's checking for the irregularity of the cornea, you know your colorblind charts, you know that near point.
Look like?
Yeah, what they look like. I'll have all the charts out, and you have to tell me which each chart's looking for.
The one on the right side of the door, that's the
See, I don't remember those.
Yeah, the one on the right-hand side of the door is astigmatism. On the left is the Snell and eye chart for visual acuity.
Okay, so this one's the letters. And this one's the circle.
Yep. And remember the near point of accommodation, that's the one with the pen. It's just going to have a pen taped to the counter.
Okay, and then this is the flashcards for
Yep.
ones. Okay.
Okay, and you're good on that then. General senses. There's a question about the receptors. Remember you had extero, intero, and proprioceptors. Okay, so remember, make sure you think, because the question's going to be asking about a structure found on the inside, and you're going to automatically go, oh, it's an interoreceptor. What is it feeling for? If it's a touch receptor, you touch on the outside, right? So that's an exteroreceptor. All receptors are found on the inside. Make sure it asks what you're feeling. So all the touch receptors are actually exteroreceptors. But like a temperature receptor, that would be an intero, because you're doing temperatures on the inside. So make sure you actually read the entire question. Don't just read the first part and go, oh, okay, I got it, and then you move on.
So exterior is the touch.
Right, and then interior is going to be like temperature, pressure on internal pressures, like blood pressure type thing. I think that's it for general. Make sure you know, where's the general?
Because I'm not seeing that on here. That's the reason I was asking.
Because you're in special senses. General was the first day.
Yeah, general.
What else do we have in the back? We've got this one. I'm trying to picture the test in my head, so hold on. That one. Here. We got the cat. We did the pancreas. Come around. The model. Heart. There's something else I'm missing on general census. What is it?
Here you go. Look at that.
Taste buds and Meissner corpuscles. The Meissner and the Pacinian corpuscle, you'll have to know those, and we'll ask them to you on the skin model. Those won't be on slides. Okay?
What's going to be the big thing?
Yeah. And then taste bud.
No, you're fine, buddy.
Taste bud is a special sense. Make sure you know that slide is most definitely on your test. And I'll have it pointed at it, and I'll ask you what it is. There's a question on what you can taste. Okay? They'll just throw something weird out there for you. Let's see. Smell. Oh, remember, smell. I'm going to have that half head out, and I'll have like A, B, C, D pinned everywhere, and I'll go, which letter is where you find the olfactory receptors? Where do you find them?
No.
It's in your nose, yeah. And B, yeah.
It's like in the back of your nose.
Yeah, it's right at the top of your nose. Yes, that's why you sniff. Yeah, to bring the air up. So that's how we'll ask you olfactory. And I think that's it for those. Hearing again, know the test. Yep.
I've got that. I started everything you said was going to be on the bench.
I think that's it for those. So then you move on to endocrine. For endocrine, make sure you know the ovary and testes slide. You'll have to know the hormones that it produces. The thyroid, you'll have to know that thyroid gland, and it produces thyroid hormone. You'll have to know the pancreas on the kitty cat, the thyroid gland on the human torso, and the adrenal gland on the human torso.
The adrenal and the thyroid, you said? The model?
And then there are two questions about that endocrine worksheet. It's about, one of them's about what happened to the frog, the other one's about what happened to the goldfish. Yeah. It'll ask you, like, why did the goldfish recover when it was put in bowl B? And that's right, he was given glucose. He got blood sugar. His blood sugar went up because he got sugar to the brain, and he came back. So with the frog,
right?
Right. Well, no, the actual frog question there is not about the LH. It's about the acetylcholine or epinephrine. Remember, acetylcholine slows down the heart, where epinephrine speeds up the heart.
I thought it was about the eggs, the frog and the eggs.
There was two frogs in the video. You're talking about the very first frog.
We're not talking about the frog and the...
We're talking about the last
They're
frog.
not going to ask about the frog.
Or not the first frog, the second frog.
Yeah, because we didn't get to see the first frog.
I know.
The second frog is...
And then blood. There are 4 blood slides on your midterm. So you'll have to know counts. Remember, you have to know what a normal red blood cell count is, what a normal neutrophil count is. No, neutrophils are 3 or more clumps. You need to know that eosinophils are 2. We don't put basophils on there. There may be a monocyte. And monocyte looks like a little kidney bean. It's got the indentation in it. Make sure you know from your physioaxis. There's a question on polycythemia. There's a question on stroke volume and blood pressure. You're going to have to calculate pulse pressure, mean arterial pressure. There's 2 heart rate questions. You'll have to know about bradycardia, tachycardia.
Just tachycardia is fast, bradycardia is slow.
And it will give you a heart rate, and you'll have to tell us which one it is, tachycardia or bradycardia. So make sure you bring your calculators on that. Let's see, you'll have a blood typing question. We'll tell you what it agglutinated with, and you'll have to tell us what type it is.
If it agglutinates, it is that.
It is that type,
so
exactly.
A serum agglutinates with A, it's A positive.
It's A positive, right. And then, let's see, we did that one. Then that does blood, heart. You gotta know every freaking thing on this heart. So we're about to go over it now. I think that's it for cardiac function. Oh, make sure you know what systolic, diastolic, and what the 3 waves on an EKG mean. You know, atrial depolarization, ventricular repolarization, and depolarization. Alright. Alright, so, on your happy little heart, you start with the superior vena cava, and then this is the inferior vena cava. You've got right atrium, left atrium, Remember, this is your divider line. So above the line is the right ventricle, below it is the left ventricle. The left ventricle is always that apex up to the line. Then you've got the aortic arch, and remember, you also have to know these three branches coming off. So you've got the brachiocephalic, the left carotid, and the left subclavian. Then you've got the pulmonary trunk, which houses the pulmonary arteries, and you flip it over, and you've got to know right and left. Remember, blue, when it comes to these, just these, blue means low oxygen, not a vein. It just simply means low oxygen. So the pulmonary arteries are going to the lungs, so they're going to be low on oxygen, so they will be blue. So this would be your right pulmonary artery, that would be your left pulmonary artery. These are the pulmonary veins. Remember, veins go back to the heart. So they're leaving the lungs, going back to the heart, and they're full of oxygen, so they're red. So again, you'll have the right pulmonary vein, left pulmonary vein. You come back around, open them up. You've got right, left atrium, right and left ventricle. There's the right tricuspid valve. There's your left bicuspid or mitral valve. There's the pulmonary semilunar valve. There's the aortic semilunar valve. Okay. That little number 24 there, remember that's the fossa ovalis. That's one of those shunts held over from fetal circulation. And that's it for the inside. Make sure you know the chordae tendineae or the heartstrings. You need to know that little number 12 is the ligamentum arteriosum. That's another shunt held over from fetal circulation. Make sure on that real heart that you also know, you've got to know papillary muscle, chordae tendineae, trabeculae carneae, that's all those bumps and grooves. Make sure you know the sulci. You'll have to know the anterior interventricular sulcus, posterior interventricular sulcus. Remember the posterior side's the butt side, so it's ugly like a butt. And then front is pretty and smooth anterior. Make sure that you also know on the real heart atriums and ventricles and interventricular septum. That was that piece of muscle in between. You also have to know all three layers of the heart on the real heart. You've got the pericardial is that sac, that epicardium was that very delicate thin membrane, endocardium is what lined all the made the valves, but also lined all the chambers. And then myocardium is the actual heart muscle itself. Yes, all of what I just said was cow heart. And then for here, you've also got to know coronary circulation. So there's only one model that shows that left coronary artery, because remember it was tiny. That was that big model, which I don't have out. I don't know where the heck it is. But so you got left coronary, and then it branches into the anterior interventricular artery, and then it wraps around in the circumflex artery. Then you have the right coronary artery that branches into the marginal artery, and then wraps around and becomes the posterior interventricular artery. Then you also have the, what else do we got? That one. Oh, the veins. You have the great cardiac vein. Remember, this one is great because it's long, not because it's fat. It starts on the front and it wraps its way all the way around to the back, and then it widens and becomes the coronary sinus. You have the middle cardiac vein right here. Both of those are going to dump into the coronary sinus, and then the coronary sinus dumps into the right atrium. And that's your heart. Okay. Are y'all done with me? I gotta go help these poor little A&P students. They're freaking out over bones. Okay? Alright.